Hello everyone, my name is Valentina and today with my classmates Rocío Silva and Javiera Miranda, we're going to analyze the following educational case study. The following explanation of this presentation is about an educational case, which is released in a classroom environment. A teacher called Mr. Zapata, who worked in a public school in Bio Bio, gives English lessons to 33 students. He presents very low expectation of his students because they are not motivated by anything. For this reason, the teacher has implemented his own teaching method, which only consists in teaching simple vocabulary and grammatical structures. The teacher barely follows the national curriculum and doesn't develop other skills as listening or speaking. He has poor teaching method and also translates all his class into Spanish. So the teacher finally tries to incorporate new methods, hoping to develop a motivation toward English. However, if he really wants a good result from part of his students, he should have implemented that before. So the aim of this analysis is to discuss about possible solutions to this case, based on our acquired knowledge given by the university given through different subjects.
Hello, my name is Rocío, and I'm going to start talking about the different objectives that we have during this video. The first one is to identify the questionable aspects of the case and suggest what we will do in his position, the teacher's position. Second of all, we have recognized the teacher's role within the educational context. And finally, we have demonstrated inclusive strategies to promote the comprehensive development of all the students. To make this analysis more structural and put it in order our ideas, we decided to put 5 aspects that we consider that is important to discuss. And we took out different parts of the case and we fill it into these aspects. So these aspects are the student's sociocultural context, the teacher's expectations, the way that he teaches, the importance of English sociocultural aspects, and finally, the method of evaluation. So now to start talking about these different aspects, I'm going to leave you with my partner Javiera, who's going to talk to you about the first aspect, that is the student's sociocultural context.
The student's sociocultural context. We as future teachers need to be aware of the sociocultural aspects of the students and adapt to them. All this with the aim of generating a pleasant environment within the classroom and develop in an integral way the person who is being educated. The teacher should search for ways to social interaction, regardless of the sociocultural context, to create a proper daily teaching, considering most of them come from families with low educational levels. In this case, the tutor must study the student's behavior and let their parents know about it, because the performance of the student is not only what the school can provide for them, but also the influence from part of the families. However, this is not only the responsibility of the teacher, but of the family as well. Not only the sociocultural aspect is important, a good relationship between teacher and student also helps in the performance of the class and favors the development of learning. And by looking for different tools to apply, a good teacher must also foment the student's own reasoning and to construct their learning, not only listen to the teacher or follow what he or she does. So students can show the way they work for their own and demonstrate whether or not they present special educational needs. Finally, as the case mentioned, there are some students who present educational needs, so the teacher must redesign his curriculum, planning, and explore a variety of evaluation methods. Inclusive education is only carried out if strategies and practices different from those traditionally used are introduced into the classroom. This largely depends on the attitude, knowledge, competence, and competencies of teachers in innovating and creating learning contexts that meet the needs and potential of learners. Thank you. Now, my classmate Valentina is going to continue.
The study case mentioned that the teacher's expectation was very low, and also that students are judged by the teacher for not being motivated to learn English by anything. Another aspect is that Mr. Zapata do not believe in the student's capacity. So we as teachers must know that in the human learning process, there are so many factors that affect this. For example, the teacher expectation, the way that he teach, the didactic, and the learning climatic. Also, as the teacher mentioned that students were not motivated by anything, there are too many factors also which affect the students' motivation. We as teachers must know that the students' behavior is something superficial that shows something that students are going through. So the teacher need to hear the students' opinion and ideas because this will improve their participation and their motivation. Hear what they would like to talk about during the classes and take to that teach grammatica, listening, speaking, and other skills obviously will improve their performance during the class. So now my classmate Rocio will talk about another aspect.
The third aspect that is the way that he teaches. Here we have also the three main points that we thought that it was important to talk about in this aspect. The first one is Mr. Zapata talked in English and then he translated everything that he says. Second of all, we have English classes were designed only to teach simple vocabulary and simple grammatical structures. And finally, he didn't follow the national curriculum. He only extracted some topics of them to be translated with the dictionary. And according to our national curriculum, the English subject must develop 4 skills: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And in this case, we can see that the teacher translate everything without any backup content. So this means that he doesn't follow the basis of the subject. Also, the teacher needs to improve the material that he gives to his students and also practice more listening and reading skills. This is for the students learn more vocabulary because they need to understand what the teacher is talking about during the classes. And so this will help them to understand the teacher, what the teacher is talking about during the lessons. And finally, as future teachers know too many ways to make the classes more interesting for the students. There are applications such as Mentimeter, Kahoot, Padlet, and these tools can make activities to develop any of these skills and make obviously the lesson more creative and interactive. So finishing with this, I will let you with my partner Javiera, who's going to talk to you about another of the aspects.
Now let's go with the importance of English socio-cultural aspects. First of all, we need to understand that when you learn a language, you also learn about the culture of the people who speak it. Today, because of its international character, English makes it possible to gain access to different cultures and customs. It's important to develop students' cultural awareness so that they can appreciate the characteristics of different cultures, especially their own. The English context can be used to improve the English skills such as speaking or writing because it is something when the class can find similarities or differences. Also, knowing the culture of other countries can be funny if the teachers makes the activities to be familiar with, and in that way learn vocabulary. Thanks for listening, and now my classmate Valentina is going to continue.
And the last aspect to discuss here is the method of evaluation, because in the case says that the students didn't pass the oral evaluations, that Mr. Zapata designs different instruments to evaluate the students and try to improve their motivation toward English. For that reason, the latest test incorporated items such as listening, comprehension, paragraph writing, and a short oral presentation. But what's the problem here? Within the case, we can see incoherence according to the content that the Mr. Zapata gave. Why? Because it has no concordance with the activity that the students did over the course. And we, as students of English pedagogy, we can see that a common evaluation mistake is an incoherence between the evaluation and the content taught. Now, my classmate Rocio will conclude this presentation.
With all the different aspects that we saw during this presentation, this video, we can conclude many things. The first one is the role that the teacher plays in the educational context. He is responsible for believing and making changes in the learning process of the students, even more if they came from a vulnerable origins. Obviously, maybe they have the same, these students have the same abilities as the other students. Maybe the reason that they came from a vulnerable origin make the things a little bit difficult, but that doesn't mean that they cannot learn English. This belief that the students that came from a vulnerable origin cannot learn English is just a judgment from part of the teacher. Another conclusion is the importance that the teacher position has toward the student's learning process. This means that if the teacher doesn't expect anything about the students, they will not feel motivated to learn during the classes and maybe out of the classes looking for information on internet and trying to learn by themselves, right? And finally, we had that the teacher must create a curricular planning, which includes all the students' necessities, with the aim of teaching in an equal scenario. Also, we can call this an inclusive teaching. And here we have our resources. All of our main resources is our learning process since we start this major until now. And the only one that is out of that is our national curriculum that we took out of the Minuto page. And this was our analysis of the case. And thank you so much for watching this presentation.